Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to install and configure the Jetpack plugin for your WordPress site. This allows you to add extra features that don't come with WordPress out of the box but can be added for free without much effort. As you can see, I'm here on the site that I set up in the previous couple of videos, and I've made a couple of changes since the last video. I added in a featured image and a title to this first post, and as you can see right now I've actually changed the settings so that I only have the first two posts displayed at a time here, and then you have to click the older posts button to see older posts. I'll explain why I did that in a minute, but for now, as you can see, I'm already logged in since I have this admin bar up here at the top, so I'm going to go ahead and click on my name to get into the WordPress admin interface. And we're going to start by going to plugins, and under plugins we're going to go to add new. Now, plugins extend the default WordPress experience with extra features, and so there are a few recommended plugins and featured plugins that you can look at on your site. Of course, there are really a ton of different things that are available here. There are over 35,000 plugins at the time of this video available for free from WordPress.org. So you can really do anything you want with these. But one plugin in particular called Jetpack actually bundles a whole bunch of different plugins in with it so that it's one streamlined experience that includes a whole bunch of different features with it that do all sorts of things ranging from contact forms, social sharing, extra widgets, and more. So we're going to go ahead and go to the Jetpack by WordPress.com plugin. And if you want to look at some of the information on it, you can. As you can see, there are a lot of people who contribute to this plugin. It's developed by a company called Automatic, and they are the company behind WordPress.com, which is the sort of hosted version of WordPress. Now, you have a self-hosted site, which means that you can install plugins that do anything. But on the other hand, WordPress.com does have some nice features that are only available with their services, and so this sort of brings those features to your self-hosted site. We're also going to add one other plugin right now. If you just search for custom CSS, and we're going to install the modular custom CSS plugin, and this plugin I want you to just install because we're going to use this at the help desk when we do support and theme customizations. Jetpack does have a similar feature included with that plugin, but unfortunately it's a little bit out of date, so rather than using that, we're going to use the modular custom CSS plugin. Once you've installed it, you can just click Activate Plugin, and then that'll take us back to here, and you can see now we've got Jetpack and modular custom CSS activated. There are a couple other plugins that come by default, and you may see even more other than these, but for now this is all we need to use. And I also will note you actually might have Jetpack installed by default when you set up WordPress with Bluehost, in which case all you have to do is go to this main installed plugins page and click Activate. And you can see we have this big banner at the top now wanting us to connect to WordPress.com, so we're going to do that. Jetpack does require you to connect to an external site on WordPress.com, and that just allows you to utilize some of the extra features that they have. So we're going to go ahead and set up an account. Okay, and then you'll get an email and then need to, of course, go to your email account and click that link. Okay, and as you can see here, we've received the email, so we're just going to click the Activate Account button. And of course, now it's going to take us back to here and make sure that we want to authorize Jetpack and this WordPress.com account to connect to your WordPress site, and it will show you all the different details right here. We'll just click the Authorize button. Okay, and now that we're back on our site, you can see that Jetpack has now been activated. Now, sometimes they will come up with prompts like this wanting you to activate other features. We're going to close this. This is definitely not a feature that you want on your site right now. They do sometimes do a lot of experimental things with Jetpack, so you do need to be careful, but most of their features are really useful. So if you see, we now have this Jetpack option in the admin menu, and under here, of course, we've got sort of their nice user-friendly view of some of the different features they have available. If you go to settings, you can actually bulk activate and deactivate them, and we have a series of ones based on the defaults that we recommend deactivating, as well as a series of features within Jetpack that we recommend activating by default. So first we're going to bulk deactivate, so we're going to check the boxes for the following ones. Like I said earlier, we installed that other custom CSS plugin, so we can go ahead and deactivate the Jetpack custom CSS. As we scroll down, these are in alphabetical order. We're also going to deactivate notifications, as well as shortcode embeds. That's now built into WordPress, so you actually don't need the Jetpack plugin to handle it. Spelling and grammar. And finally, publicize. Sorry, that was a little bit out of order alphabetically there. So now that we've got those selected, we're just going to bulk deactivate them because they aren't things, at least for now, that you're going to need on your site. Additionally, we're going to activate several things. So we're going to activate, actually contact form is already activated here, so that's good. As we scroll down and look for site icon, let's check that. We'll activate that one. Additionally, and in fact, all the other ones that we want you to activate look like they are now installed by default, so we can just go ahead and activate the site icon feature right here. And now we're good to go. Now in a little while, I'll go through and show you how to configure some of those plugins, or some of these modules within Jetpack that we have installed and activated. But for now, I want to start by going back to the front end and showing you something called infinite scroll. So as you can see right here, and I showed you earlier, right now the way it's set up and how WordPress works by default, once you get to the bottom of your first page of posts, usually you see up to 10 posts. In this case, I changed that setting just for demonstration purposes. But when you get to the bottom, you'll see some sort of navigation provided by the theme to send you to the next page of posts. You can see this is then page 2 of my posts, and you can kind of click back and forth. And while that works by default, Jetpack actually has a really cool feature called infinite scroll that will work kind of like most social media sites, where when you get to the bottom, or when anyone who's viewing your site gets to the bottom, the next set of posts will automatically be loaded for you. So we're going to go ahead and actually activate that feature. Now, not every theme supports this. A lot of themes do, and so you do have to sort of rely on that. But in this case, I know that my theme does support this, so now I went in and I activated the infinite scroll module, and you can see actually there are some configuration options here that I actually don't think we really need to control anything here. No, we don't need to worry about that. So now it should just work when we go to our site. Let's test it out. So now we're scrolling through here. Oh, and you know what? For whatever reason, it doesn't look like that is working. Now, I thought this theme supported it, but it might not. Just to test it out, though, what we can do is I can just show you on a different theme, just for demonstration purposes, what infinite scroll looks like. Okay, so now we're back on 2015, and 2015 does definitely support infinite scroll. So when I scroll to the bottom here, now you can see that my next set of posts will automatically load as I scroll through until I get to the bottom, rather than having to click through to get to the different posts. So that's how infinite scroll works. It looks like the theme that I am using right now doesn't actually support it, and sometimes that happens. In that case, if you want to use that feature, one option would be to contact the theme author and see if they might be interested in implementing it. It's, for the theme author, very easy to implement. The other thing is, if it's really a must-have feature for you, you can always come to the help desk and we can work on setting up some customizations that allow your theme to work well with infinite scroll. Now that we've got infinite scroll set up, let's go back to our WordPress admin, and we want to set up the site icon. We can do that by going to the general settings page, And at the bottom you can see there's a site icon section. And right here we want to go ahead and pull in the icon. So I actually have a logo that I want to use for this. Oops. Now you'll note that most keep in mind your image needs to be a certain size at minimum to work well, so just make sure that you upload a pretty large image. As you can see here, it's going to show up in the browser window in browsers such as Chrome, as well as a mobile icon depending on whatever device the site visitor is using. And so you can see those are some of the different sizes of that image that it generates when we do that. And that's all we have to do. Now we've got a site icon in there, and I don't think we can see it in Safari here, but if we hop over to Chrome, we should be able to see here, yep, so now that icon has loaded in the browser window, and you can see it right there. So now that we're done with our site icon, let's move on to some of the other features in Jetpack. The next one we're going to do is actually available in the customizer. So if we go to Appearance Customize, and then we're going to hop into our widgets. Now, as I mentioned before when I was setting up this theme, this particular theme has widgets available in the footer. And those let us add some different additional content that'll be displayed on every page. You can see there are several different widgets that are now available that are added by Jetpack. You can also install additional plugins to add additional widgets, but Jetpack does come with a nice bundle of several. And so, for example, you could now embed some of your most recent tweets or something else like that. In my case right now, I want to add an image widget here. And so you can see with this particular widget now, you do have to know the URL of your image, and that can be a little bit confusing to find it first. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a new tab, and I'm going to just open up the admin of my site again, and I'll show you how to manually upload. Now at some point in the future, hopefully Jetpack will implement a way that you can actually just upload an image directly in there. But you can see actually since we uploaded this image for our site logo, this is actually the image I want to put in my footer. So you can see once you go to your media library within the WordPress admin, all of the images that you've already uploaded, and of course you can upload more from here. If you just click on it, you can get the URL from right here. So we just need to copy this whole thing and then hop back into the customizer and paste that in as the image URL. And then as we can see that shows up down here. So a little bit of a roundabout way to do that right now. Hopefully the Jetpack plugin will improve that in the future, and you'll find that that is the case with a lot of things in Jetpack, but it's by no means perfect, but it does have a lot of features bundled together. And so if you can get around a couple of the little things like that in the future, it'll continue to be improved upon, and hopefully this will be a little bit of an easier process in the future. So we're now going to close out of the customizer. And now another thing that we didn't get to when we first set up the site was on our contact page. We actually just put in an email. We didn't put in a contact form yet. Well, now rather than having that email there just raw, we want to actually put in a contact form. And Jetpack helps you do that because it has a nice contact form builder in here. So you just need to think about what you want the form to say. I don't really think I need a website field there, but maybe just name, email, and comment. And then if you look at the email notifications, by default it'll just be sent to your email since it's a personal site and you already have that email address stored in WordPress as sort of the main administrator email. But if you want to customize this, so maybe message from my contact form, you can do that, save that, and then just add the form to the post. Now, don't freak out when you see that there's actually a bunch of code here. Unfortunately, sometimes plugins do work in a way where it'll put in what's called a shortcode here. You can see there's sort of these brackets and a bunch of text and specific markup here. Don't worry about what that says. When that's displayed on the front end of your site, it'll automatically replace that with a nice, clean display of the contact form that we've created. So we'll go ahead and pull out the raw email there. You might want to add some text just saying, you know, to get in touch, fill this out, but I'm just going to keep it simple. So I'll update the page and then view the page. And now you can see we have this nice display here of the contact form. Now another thing you'll notice here, this email field doesn't match the name and comment fields. That's just a case where this theme doesn't actually provide, you know, you can see it has this nice layout for some of the other fields, but for whatever reason it doesn't support email fields. So that's something else where you just want to contact the theme author with the theme support forum on WordPress.org or wherever else you got your theme, and they should be perfectly willing to fix that for you. And if you need a quick fix, again, if you come to the help desk, we can help you get that sorted out so that that matches how it should here. So now you can see we've got our about page in here also, as well as the contact page, and of course our home page with the blog, and everything is looking pretty good. But now that we have that contact form in there, it just makes it a little bit more complete and a little bit more of a professional finished look on our site than just showing the email there. The next thing that I want to look at is actually the galleries, and I made this gallery post when I first set up the site. Depending on what type of content you do, you might actually be creating a lot of galleries, and as you can see, the way my particular theme displays galleries, it works, but it's not great. Not all the images are displayed at the same size. It's not really a clean grid, and the captions don't really fit in here very well. So in order to improve upon this, Jetpack actually has a couple of different features. Now the first thing is when you actually click on one of these images in the gallery, you'll notice that it takes you to a page like this. This is called the attachment page, and it's basically just the single view of an image. Now, of course, I need to put in an actual title here, and you can do that by going to Edit Media. This also is available when you first upload your images. But in my case, I think this is a perfectly fine way to display this. So I'm not probably going to change it, but I will, just for demonstration purposes, show you one of the features in Jetpack called Carousel. And essentially what this does is in your galleries it will automatically bring it so it just shows the full size of the image over the page rather than going to the separate page. So I'll go ahead and activate that so that you can see it. And additionally, there's another feature in Jetpack called Tiled Galleries. And this feature will actually replace whatever the way the theme displays the galleries with these nice tiled layouts that kind of hide the captions by default and just make a little more simplified experience. So now that I've got those two activated, I can jump back to that post. And of course, as of right now, it displays the same, although you can see when we click on it, we do get the carousel feature. Now, one smaller issue with this is that the images may take some time to load, like that one did, just because of how large the original image size is. But regardless of that, you can see that this does provide a pretty nice experience for browsing through the different pictures. It shows some of the, more photographer-oriented information here, and it will bring in the caption and the title if those are provided. So, I may actually leave this here, but what I want to show you now is the tiled gallery feature. In order to do that, we do have to actually go in and edit the post and edit our gallery. So if we click on it and go to edit, You can see now we have this type option in the gallery settings. I'm just going to change that to tiled mosaic, update the gallery, update the post, and then once this reloads, we'll go ahead and view the post. Okay, and again, it's taking a little while to load because the internet's kind of slow right now, but as you can see, now we have this much nicer view here where we see all the images are nicely aligned to a nice tight grid. We have even uniform margins around the images. Some of the images are displayed bigger, and I think this is just generally a more efficient use of space. And of course, rather than having those captions kind of inconsistently displayed there, now they just show up whenever you mouse over the images. So having this tiled gallery that Jetpack provides, in addition to then the carousel feature where we can actually click on it and then be able to slide through the different images right here, really improves the experience of browsing through galleries on your site. So if you use galleries, I highly recommend activating one or both of those features, but do keep in mind it does depend on what your theme does. If your theme has a really cool way of displaying galleries, then maybe you don't need this. It just kind of depends. And now that we're done with that, there's one more feature that I want to cover in this video, and that is sharing. And so Jetpack does have this configured by default, so if you go to Settings, Sharing, you can see that we can actually add these different sharing buttons to your posts. So I know no one really uses email anymore, but I'm going to just put that in there, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and maybe LinkedIn, and I think that's pretty much all the ones that I want here. I'm going to tweak the order of these. And so as you can see, you can just sort of drag and drop the different things around. If you want to have a whole bunch of options, you can put some over here and put them behind a button, but I don't really think I need that. Just so you can see it, then you'll have sort of a more button here, but I don't think that's necessary. For now, I'll just stick with these four. And then you have a few different options for what the display looks like. So you can just use icons, you can just use text, or you can actually use their actual share bar like this. Of course, this actually usually won't look as good because, as you can see, it's really inconsistent. So I usually prefer the default option, which is icon plus text. And then of course you can customize what will be displayed before the icons. Always make sure you open the links in a new window. Usually that'll actually just be a new tab. And then the most important part is to select which pages or posts or whatever objects on your site these show up on. If none of these are checked, then you're not going to see your share buttons. So I actually don't want to have the ability to see these buttons on my static pages, which are my About page and my Contact page. And I'm not going to put them, I don't think with this particular theme that they're going to show up on the front page where I have my different blog posts anyway, but I'm going to leave that unchecked. I only want them to show up on the single pages or single posts when you're just viewing one particular post, as well as the media attachments, although that's not there right now. The other thing is you should put in your Twitter username, so I'll put in that, and then we won't disable that option there. So now that we've got all of this, those have been saved, and if we go look at our posts, we should see this activated. So let's look at this one. As you can see right at the bottom of the post, now we have the different sharing buttons that can be used to share it. And that's a nice addition if you think that people might be interested in sharing some of your content from your site. Of course, social media is really important for getting yourself out there. And so by adding share buttons to your site, in addition to being able to publicize your site yourself, other people will also be able to easily share some of your content if they like it, and then that'll bring more visitors to your site. So that's sort of an overview of Jetpack. As you can see, we went through several different features that are available in the Jetpack plugin, and it really adds some nice little touches and really polishes off our site to make it more professional and more complete. Feel free to continue looking through all of the different features that are available in Jetpack. depending on your needs, you may want to install or activate more of these, but for now I think this is a pretty good thing for my site. So with that, if you have any other questions or want help setting up Jetpack or anything else with WordPress, please stop by the Digital Lounge and come check out the help desk, and we'll be happy to help you with getting your site set up. Thank you.